All right, so hello and welcome to INF360 programming in Python. I'll give you guys an overview today of what the class is and how it works and all that kind of stuff going down. So we're going to be learning a little bit about programming with Python. Some of you are probably computer science majors that may have come over, learned other languages. They're coming over here to learn Python, but Python itself is a pretty important language. It's always rated #1 now out there on GitHub of all the content that's ever out there. And it's very easy for you guys to learn and use. So if you're scared of computer programming, trust me, Python's not that bad. It's pretty human readable. I taught it to a bunch of high school students this summer, like almost 150 up in Chicago. And I taught it to even younger ones over in just south of Dodge this summer too. So, and they all picked up on it fast and ran with it really well. So I have no doubt that you guys will be able to pick up and run with it as we go through. Those that don't know me, my name is Jason Zeller. I'm a professor here in cybersecurity. I'm a pretty easygoing professor. All right. So we're going to talk about due dates. We're going to talk about that kind of stuff. But the #1 thing with me, as long as you email me and get a hold of me, I tend to let a lot of stuff go. In other words, I'm not super stickler on due dates for assignments. That doesn't mean don't do them and don't turn them in, because I've had plenty of students mess themselves up doing that, right? But if something comes up, you all are in college now, you're all adults. And this is how I always start my semester, by saying, whether you like it or not, you're all adults now. I'm going to treat you like an adult, right? So if you don't want to show up for class, I don't care. Thanks for your tuition. But I would hope that you would show up and actually start learning stuff in class. So I learned last semester, if I told people they didn't have to be here, half the class stopped showing up, half the class failed last semester. I've never had that happen in the 4 years of teaching this class. Now, 4 years doesn't sound like a lot. I teach 2 to 3 sections of this. So while you guys are here in this class, there's another 60 some students online that are taking this same course. All right. So I've got a lot of students that have gone through the program. I've taught just shy of 1,000 now within Python. The #1 thing I can say is read your material, do your homework assignments as quickly as you can, and follow along and practice. That's really the gist of it. Most of the students that ever fail this course, they didn't do the homework assignments, they didn't do the midterm project, and they flat out just didn't follow directions. It's really that simple. With that being said, in this class, the #1 thing that people are really starting to get in trouble with, especially after COVID, is academic honesty. All right. So I don't usually talk about this in all my classes, but this one I have to focus it on. If you get stuck, and it always happens on homework 3 and homework 4, okay? Homework 1 and 2, you can't really cheat on those because it's your material, right? I'm not giving you a form as to what you got to fill out. We'll go over that in the homework assignments. But 3 and 4, I'm very structured as to what you're needing to do. That's when students start going out and looking at Chegg, My Course Hero, Stack Overflow for answers and that. There are answers to those homework assignments out there. I'm telling you right now, they're wrong. And if you actually look at the comments on those websites, you will see me saying these are wrong. And every year somebody submits those. All right. Don't use those resources. For one, they're going to use far in advanced Python that you never learned in this class. And if you're in this class, you're probably not able to do the advanced Python, right? I mean, especially if you're missing things on the first 2 homework assignments and then you're busting out some advanced Python in the second one. Come on now, right? So don't use those resources for that. Use what you have in the class. Everything I teach you in this class, everything you have in a homework assignment is all based off something you've learned in this class. All right. If you have a issue or a trouble on those 2 homework assignments, which most of you will, happens every semester, ask for help on those. Okay. There's recorded videos in this class. There's lots of ways to get the resources that you'll need for those. Whatever you do, don't use those resources online. I'm pretty clear on that. If I see that advanced line and I know what it is in there, if I see it, I don't even question it. It's a 0 on the assignment. You don't even have a chance to explain it unless you can explain that code word for word, how you did it and what it does, which most people can't do. All right. With the existence of things like ChatGPT and Copilot and editors and things like that, AI, just know that, again, those are going to produce advanced Python answers, right? This is an entry-level course. So if you're giving me advanced Python answers, I can tell when it's written by ChatGPT. I can tell when it's written by Copilot and some other the AI tools out there. Use them to learn. Those are great tools. I'm not saying don't use them. but don't use them for your homework assignments in this class, because they're going to give you way too advanced answers that don't justify what you're doing in this class. All right. So I got to stress this in the first week. Most students will do this on assignment 3 and 4. They get a 0 on assignment 3. If they do it on assignment 4, you not only get a 0 on that, you're done with the class. Like, and there's no walk back. We'll do it. It's straight up 0. You failed the course and I turn you in for academic dishonesty. All right. Those of you that are in here as freshmen, that may not seem like a big deal. I've got seniors that take this class. They do that in those 2 homework assignments. They don't graduate. And not only do they not graduate, they're now back in having to take another semester of this class and some other ones, and they're on academic probation, which means they may or may not get their financial aid. They may not get a whole bunch of other things. So long story short, don't cheat. If you can't figure out the answer, it is better to not do anything for that answer and turn it in and get the 0 than it is to do it, right? You won't lose enough points to get a B in this class. Let me explain that again. If you don't know the answer on those 2 that people struggle with, if you just don't do it, you still will get a 0 in there, right? But you won't fail the class. If you cheat on it, well, now you failed the class. It's pretty simple, right? So I hate stressing on it, but just explain, use your own code, use what you can. If you have troubles, I will always schedule one-on-one meetings with everybody in here, all right? Anybody that's taking my classes know I'm more than happy to set up Zoom sessions. If you need extra work, whatever it may be, I'm more than happy to help you out. Just don't cheat. On those type of problems, do the best you can with what you know and put that in the homework assignments, because when we go to grade those later on, if you've made an attempt, I'm going to give you points. It's that simple. All right. The way this class is okay, that's all academic honesty, blah, blah, blah. Please don't make me kick you out of college for failing assignments. All right. I hate it. I hate doing that because I'm like, all you had to do was just not do it. And you would have been fine. All right. And everybody asks, do you actually kick people out? About 5 to 6 people at least a semester. At least. I had one semester where I kicked 20 some students out of all my sections. They had to go up for academic probation on that. So please don't cheat. Like, just, it's not worth it. All right. The textbook in this class, there's nothing you have to buy. There's a link out here called Automate the Boring Stuff. I'm going to open that up in a different tab here. And in this, we'll have all the reading materials you guys will need. So each section is broke out as you get the weeks that are released. It will automatically map you to the right chapter that you need to read. But these are the chapters that you'll read through for the course in this semester. If you want to have a hard copy, you're welcome to go buy a hard copy. You do not have to. All right. Everything's online. I encourage you to use the online material unless you're one of those that just really needs to read it in front of you, which I understand. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Emailing issues. If you have issues with your code, you cannot email me the .py file right away. It will not work in Microsoft Outlook. When you send it to me, it'll block it immediately. All right. So anything you send me has to be zipped first. Does everybody know how to zip a file? Right click on it, add to zip. All right. That's all you have to do is zip the file. Then you can attach it to an email, and it will go ahead and send it to me in an email. If you send me a .py, I'll probably respond back to you. I didn't get it because I can't. It blocks it. All right. For your homework assignments, when we talk about that, when you go to submit those you can submit .py files. All right. Don't submit .zip files unless it's more than one file, which we won't get to till the halfway through the end of the semester. All right. So when you're submitting homework assignments, you can submit them as .py. Just don't email me them as .py. It won't work. All right. Let's see here. Zoom meeting. For those of you in this room, obviously, I strongly encourage you to show up every day to class, especially those LLC students. You have to come every time to class. All right. Everybody needs to, because the ones I gave options to last year, like I said, it was the highest fail rate I've ever seen. And it's simply because they stopped coming to class. All right. With that being said, there is a Zoom meeting and it's live right now as I'm talking and all that. It's always recorded. If you feel sick, you don't feel like you can come today, whatever else, shoot me an email, but go home and do it off the Zoom. All right. If you got a cough, you got a sniffle, don't show up to my class. It's the same thing if you go on the Zoom session. All right. We all don't want to get sick in here. I have to explain this to some people, like, don't think you're the cool, brave kid because you came to class and then you're hacking and coughing the whole time. I'm recording, you're hacking and coughing on the recording. All right. You're detracting away from everybody else. So if you feel sick, shoot me an email, but go ahead and jump on the Zoom session. You're perfectly fine. If you have to miss class for whatever reason, shoot me a quick email, jump on the Zoom session if you can. If not, they will always be recorded and I will always post those videos by the evening. All right. I have back-to-back classes on Tuesday, Thursdays this semester, so I won't be able to get to post those till late evening. And then they'll be up for the rest of the week that way. All right. Anybody got any questions on Zoom sessions, class, attendance, etc.? All right. Let's see. The Zoom recordings, as I mentioned, they'll always be posted in the section as they go through there. Homework assignments. There's a whole section here on homework assignments, and I'll go through this a little bit more when we start talking about our first homework assignment on Thursday. There is this part at the top that you will copy and paste in that needs to be at the top of every single homework assignment. All right. Make sure you put your name there, not my name. So it should be something like this where it says Jane Doe, assignment 1. The other big thing that a lot of students will mess up in the beginning is make sure you're submitting the script to me. And again, we'll go over this on Thursday. Make sure you actually submit the .py file to me, not the output of the idle shell. I'll talk about it on Thursday. All right. The other part is naming your files. Make sure you name it with your first name, last name, and the word assignment1.py. Don't just send me something that says assignment1.py. Anybody understand why that would be a problem? 75 students, right? Everybody calls it assignment 1. It's a nightmare. Put your name on the thing. The first assignment, I let it slide. After that, I start docking off points because it really is a pain to grade all those when I get 75 that all want to call it assignment 1. Call it your name. All right. Super simple, very easy to do. All right. Anybody got any questions on homework assignments and how they work? All right. To be clear, there's only 4 homework assignments in this class. All right. So each one of them matter, and you're going to knock out the first 2 within the first 2 weeks of class. After that, you have quizzes, or after that, you are starting to work on midterm projects. All right. So there's only 4 homework assignments in this class, and that's spread out over 16 weeks. So this isn't one of those classes where you're going to have homework every single week. With that being said, you should make sure you're practicing and doing some stuff so you're comfortable in what you're doing. When we get to the midterm projects and final projects, you're on your own to work on those, and those are bigger projects, right? So this isn't a class where you're going to walk in and have 30 assignments. This isn't it, right? Okay. With that, I'm going to go back to the syllabus so you guys can see that. Get that to pop up in another window. There we go. All right. All this is in Blackboard, but you will get a chance to look through here. Each week is going to show up as to what we're doing. So if it's talking about flow control in week 2, then down here, when you scroll down, you will see flow control pop up. All content gets released at Sunday at midnight. All homework assignments are due that week at Sunday at midnight. Pretty simple. All right. Syllabus, again, it's going to tell you what you're doing each week. You'll notice when you get to week 8, you have 2 weeks to work on the midterm project. When we get down here, actually, technically, you're going to have 3 weeks to work on that midterm project. All right. Because you have 2 weeks, but that also falls right in with fall break. So you technically have 3 weeks to work on that. When we get down here to the final project, you once again have 3 weeks to work on it. All right. So you have a lot of time in this class to work on those projects. Those projects are weighted very heavy in this class. And I say 3 weeks is a long time. Some students will take this class in 8 weeks, which means they have 2 days to do those projects, right? Just because of the way the week rotation works. So actually, I have students that do it in 4 weeks during intersession. It's very, very fast. All right. So you guys have a long time to work on these projects. With that comes project management, making sure you're doing something each week, make sure you're working on your project. Don't wait till the last week and say, I don't have time. You literally had 3 weeks to work on it, and you get the class time to work on that same project with me helping you if you need it. All right. So it's simple. It's really, really simple. Use your time, use it wisely. Those projects are going to be with the most amount of points as you work through there. Here's a breakdown of the grades. 15 are the assignments. Those are the 4 coding exercises that we talked about. Quizzes are worth 20%, midterms 20%, your midterm exam is 25%, and your final project is 20%. So your 2 projects are 40% of your grade. That midterm exam is 25% of your grade. We'll talk about the midterm exam. I give you guys an overview of it. It's a PowerPoint. All the answers are on the PowerPoint. Like the only way you fail the midterm exam is you didn't pay attention and go through the work. It's really simple. All right. Let's see here. What else we got? So Week one, I'm going to open that up. Everybody will be able to start seeing that in their individual sections here today. What I want to cover today was just getting you into the program. We are going to cover how to install Python today, so you guys can do that. You guys will need to install Python on all of your laptops, desktops, whatever you want to put it on, doesn't matter to me, but you will not be able to do this on like a Chromebook or something like that. All right. You'll need to have Windows, Linux, Mac, whatever it is, doesn't matter. You can install Python. All right. In these sections, as you see on the screen, you're going to see something like this. I'm going to zoom these up so you guys can see them on the TV there. You'll have something like chapter 0. That's going to link you out to what you need to read. All right. So chapter 0, the only thing we're going to talk about is what is Python, what is the conventions, how does it work, etc. The key piece that we need to do is get you installed and get everything set up. All right. So to get things set up, you go out here to python.org/downloads. Then you're going to click on this download Python 3.11 for. Again, this is recorded, so you guys will be able to watch this again. Go ahead and download this Python 3.11. When you actually install it, which I'm going to run through here real quick, you're going to see, let me just uninstall it real quick and then I'll reinstall it so you guys can see it from scratch. If you run into issues installing Python or something's not working right, best thing you can do, completely uninstall it, reinstall it from scratch. All right. Everybody messes up one little piece when they first install Python. And I'm going to show you that, the little piece that everybody messes up. If you have issues in the middle of the semester, etc., just uninstall it, reinstall it. All right. Yeah.
So can we use like an IDE like Visual Studio Code or PyCharm?
So the IDE that we teach in this class is going to be idle because it's the one that's built into Python. That's the one I will support for this class. You can use your Visual Basic. You can use PyCharm in those. I just can't support you on those. Not for this class. Advanced Python, yes, but in this class, I don't. The reason I use idle for this class versus those other ones, if you're coming from computer science or some other ones, you know how to use those, right? You can use the advanced IDEs. I teach the one that works on every platform. So idle works on Mac, Linux, Windows, doesn't matter. It works on every single one and it all functions the same. So that's the reason I do that in here. All right, so while this is uninstalling, now it's done. Now we can go ahead and reinstall. Let's grab that real quick. All right, so when you install Python, before you click install now, you need to come down here and click the checkbox for add Python to the path. Everybody loses that on the first screen, all right? So you have to make sure that you click this checkbox. If you don't, you'll get about halfway through the semester, and then when you start installing libraries and working on stuff, it fails every single time. And it's because you forgot to put the checkbox in there, all right? So put the checkbox here, then you can hit install now and let it go from there. If you already surpassed that, uninstall, reinstall, click on the same thing. All right. Fixing the path. Yes, there's a way to go in and fix the path later. It's a nightmare. Just uninstall and reinstall and click the checkbox. It's way faster to do it that way. And less chance of people messing stuff up in their environment variables and all that kind of stuff to fix path. All right. When this comes up, we will use idle. Again, you're welcome to use the other ones. I have no problem with that. Just know I can't support it. Up here. And in particular, when you're using those advanced IDEs, you're going to have cool things like AI and stuff to help you out and kind of help you code that. Just remember, if you're utilizing those tools, if it's using advanced Python, I know it's not you, right? The whole idea in this class is that you are the one doing the coding, not the AI tool. You can use it to help explain things, but don't use it to write your code. All right. When you type in idle from your menu, you're going to get idle. It looks like this. I'm going to use the 3.11, not the 3.9.1. If I click on idle, this will be the IDE that we use. This, what comes up is called the shell. All right. You can type things in here. We can see like 1 + 1, and it evaluates down, and we'll talk about how evaluations and all that works. This is the shell. This is not what you guys will use for homework assignments. All right. To do a homework assignment, you click File, New. This creates a Python file. Everything you do in here is what you will turn into your homework assignments. All right. It's the #1 thing everybody messes up in the first week. So when you are supposed to do a homework assignment, you actually do those inside this window here. Okay. You won't do anything over here in the shell. So to get there, you just go to File, New. It launches a new file. Then I'll show you how to go on from there. All right. So that gets you idle on the system. Let's go back to the Blackboard show real quick. Okay. We are going to cover the basics in assignment 1 on Thursday. Yeah.
Do we disable the path length limit?
Sure. Windows 11. Yeah. Yep.
I just hit close on a page. Yeah, do I need to reinstall that?
If you run into issues, you'll know. If so, just reinstall and click that
I'll
checkbox.
figure out.
It's Windows 11 that tends to have that kind of problem when it comes up there. All right, so again, Python is literally in everything right now. So it doesn't matter what you're working on, if it's an IoT device, if you're wanting to code something. Remember, I have students in here that are not computer programmers, they're not networking, they're not cybersecurity, they are nursing students, they are biology students, chemistry students. Everybody is learning that Python is needed for every single part of everything anymore. You can use it to help you with whatever. So I have a lot of students in here that are constantly across campus. It has literally become almost a gen ed at this point. That's why I have 75 students every single semester. This semester, I have closer to 80 some students between all the sections. So we'll talk a little bit about this book as you use through there. The book is written in such a way that you can read it really, really easily. Students have always given me feedback. They love this book because it's written for beginners, how to go from scratch, etc. What's nice in there is it's going to give you a lot of samples and a lot of examples. So I encourage you to run through the examples in each chapter as you go through because it will help you. A lot of people say, oh, I don't need to do that. Trust me, if you do it, it will make your coding a whole lot easier as you go through. All right. Let's see here. We can skip all the overall stuff. So we got this downloading and installing Python section. Go ahead and do it's exactly what I just showed you. The only difference is they're going to ask you to download and install Mu, which is a different editor. Please do not use Mu. All right. We want to use idle for this class, not Mu. Mu is very similar to idle. It works very, very well for IoT devices. So if you guys were to program little microprocessors and things like that with Python, Mu works really well for that. But for the purposes of this class, idle is going to be the better choice. All right. So this will tell you how to start idle as we go through there and then how you use it. Third-party modules, we'll talk about that later. Programming questions, etc. So idle as we go through here. Just bring this up here. Again, you go File, New, and then as you're working in anything, say you want to do an assignment, etc., come back here to your content, go back to your learning modules, zoom out just a hair. You can come down here and copy and paste this at the top of every single one of these files. All right, boom, done. Those red lines are going to show that those are comments, and we'll get into what comments are and variables and colors and all that. But the colors in the IDE matter. That's another reason that I use idle for this class. Is it gives color assignments. Some of the other ones don't necessarily do it, or they use different colors. All right. Doesn't mean they don't work. It's just, it's a visual way for new beginners to understand how to code. So in this one, we'll learn how to use different functions and such. For a very basic one to start, we'll have something like print hello world. All right. We'll start talking about how functions work in this. We're going to use the print function. And that's going to be in parentheses, and we wanted to print the string hello world. And you notice that hello world is in double quotes. We'll talk about double quotes and single quotes. Again, today's just an introductory. At the top, if we go to run and run module, it's going to ask that we have to save it to begin with. I strongly encourage you to create a folder somewhere on your desktop or wherever you want to store it. Store all your homework assignments in that location. All right, but make sure you name them appropriately. So say this was assignment 1. Then I would want to come in here, create a folder. Don't dump them in this Python 3.11 folder. See how I have these other ones down here? Don't do that. That will definitely give you issues later on in the semester. Don't do that. And I actually did that to prove my point. So create a folder in your documents folder, wherever you want, doesn't matter. And then you can store that out there. So if I call this one and I call it Jason Zeller assignment 1, and it will automatically save it as a .py, hit save, and that is the file I'll submit. This output is what happens when you run that file, right? So if I go to run and run module, it's going to execute this code. Python operates from the top down, right? So it's going to start at the top and start executing code as it moves its way down. This over here would be the output, which is our hello world. It printed it out to the user terminal. Do not copy and paste this and submit this as your homework assignment. I don't know why students do that every semester, but they do. This is not what I'm looking for. I want this code over here. So you just submit that .py file to me. Does everybody understand how that works? Again, we'll get into what codes are and all that kind of stuff. We'll do that on Thursday. This is more of just a welcome. Anybody got any questions on how this class will operate? Idle, Python, anything like that? How about those of you online? Anybody got any questions? All right, for those of you online, you can always come off mute, interrupt me, throw something in the chat, whatever you want to do. The WebEx session or the Zoom session and such, for those of you that are virtual students, this will run exactly the same. When I record this class, it's a live execution of whatever happened in class. I don't edit it. I don't filter it. It's exactly the way it happened in class. So you students that are online should get the exact same experience as the students that are here in the classroom. All right. Other than the accessibility of coming down to my office kind of thing. So, all right, I'm going to stop this recording.